connected they are. I think if you elect the AG, you kind of fuck yourself over in a group that already doesn't really care about justice at all.
Thank you for your insight. As a former attorney general who was probably the most public and politicized attorney general of recent memory, do you think that being an appointed attorney general, what's the word I'm looking for, clouded your judgment on the Sheriff Tom case in particular?
No. When I became attorney general, what I told Orange specifically was that the minute he stepped into my decision making, I'm out. And he didn't. He requested to be informed of major developments, which is fine. I'm happy to inform. But there was not ever a time where the political establishment of this group influenced a decision to charge or to not charge. Where, on very clear evidence that members of the court played parts in LCPD to secure an otherwise valid, but definitely procedurally deficient arrest warrant against me, right? Why would they go through all that trouble if they could just recall the attorney general when they're investigating something they don't like? All we're going to do by creating an elected AG is make it so that the people who disagree with the attorney general will just seek their recall. And that's it.
When we're talking about the recall problem against the governor problem, and we're using this belief that the AG somehow has to please the governor to stay in office, I want to also point out that instead of having to just please the governor, the AG would be tasked with tailoring his decisions to please how many people are in this group? Like, definitely a lot. Let's see.
I think it's 15,000 in the Discord.
Along those lines,
probably.
let's point out that if you like, there's not, a general consensus that crime is even bad here. You elect attorney general, you elect a sheriff in real life, they stop crime. People are like, yeah, that's good, because the overwhelming majority are not doing crime. Everyone does fucking crime. Everyone. And if we're going to say here that, the people doing crime aren't enough to, push a lot of public, opposition to the attorney general for just doing what we expect them to do, right? If we say that the attorney general, prosecutes criminals, You know, you shoot someone in broad daylight, the Attorney General prosecutes you. All the criminals can just gang up against the Attorney General.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen that
Um,
with Offer Gav. He got
Well, we've seen
elected.
that with Offer Gab, and we saw that with
Yeah.
the one mega, and
So it's not even theoretical at this point.
Yeah,
it's
that happened. He got elected.
possible. It's
Anyone,
possible.
it's not
Again,
possible. It's plausible.
it's possible, but I don't think
I've seen
personally.
it.
If you look at the last Senate election, right, with the one mega only got 83 votes before he was disqualified. That would have only placed him in third. I mean, Pseudonol and Brit Tate, who would have obtained the legal vote, I'm assuming, given their statuses in the community, they both would have had more votes from him. I don't think that the criminal aspect of it is large enough to influence an election as large as
Well-
attorney general, sheriff, secretary of state. I mean, this argument could be made for the sheriff election, and we've trusted the system to allow for sheriff elections so far.
Right, but it's not the same, right? We are differentiating what the job actually is. The sheriff's job is to fight crime in game. No matter who you elect as sheriff, they're gonna send police officers out. They're gonna send out the deputies, and they're gonna like arrest criminals. They're gonna shoot people. Bang, bang, boom, you're done, right? If you get a favorable attorney general candidate in office, they will focus solely on the white collar, you know, so to speak, crime. They're going to focus on civil rights. They're going to focus on police brutality. They're going to focus on drug trafficking, right? And they're going to ignore murder. They're going to ignore the things that you want them to ignore because your voting bloc pushed the preferable candidate in office. I'm not saying that, you know, having the AG appointed by the governor is great. I think it's, you know, objectively pretty bad. But electing them is far worse.
Oh, I think it'd be beneficial to the conversation if it's okay with both of you to bring Justin D20 up. He was a former
Yeah.
attorney general.
Wasn't
who
he
was
AG for like 1
removed
day?
some of the.
Well, I
Yes, I
think
think
something
his
happened
insight.
where
Who was
he
the 1 day
didn't
attorney
feel too
general?
good.
I forget.
He was Justin. You're on the stage now.
Avengers Assemble is crazy.
Can y'all hear me? What's up, guys?
Yo.
Hello.
So I just wanted to pop in. I have so much respect for Derogatory and Walter. I've known both of them for a very long time. Feels like forever now. And I think that you guys both pose some pretty valid points as far as the shift from governor appointed to election. I mean, we run into this recall issue. It seems like with the majority of the attorney generals where there's at least one petition that comes up to get attorney generals removed, at least in past Mayflower states. But I think that there's also another side to this that maybe our other attorney generals here have not experienced, which was something that I had to experience not very long ago. Um, you know, I have a lot of respect for Orange. I think he's a good governor. I have a lot of respect for our current attorney general. I think he's an awesome pick. I have a lot of respect for Walter because I think Walter has also done a great job in his past tense as attorney general. I think what we're facing now is something that we haven't ever had to deal with, which is the potential politicization of the position itself. And I know that you guys think that moving it to an elected position creates that, but what I experienced during my stint as acting attorney general, I think was probably worse, which was there were repercussions based on a staffing decision I made. Um, you know, I stayed somewhat quiet after my stint just because I didn't feel like there was a need to bring everything up all at once. And I understand some of the reasons why Orange made the decision that he did for the time. He didn't think that my confirmation was going to go through, which was probably valid at that point. And it was all a timing issue. But I was removed because the legislature wasn't going to approve me because I did try to remove somebody that was prominent, which is another issue that we will continue to face with attorney generals when it comes to MBI directors, prominent officials in staffing positions. I mean, we've seen it in other agencies before. I tried to remove an NBI director because there was clear misconduct. My timing was not prime, but when I was being met with day after day disregard for the authority that me and my deputy at the time had, there was only one option. I mean, it was NBI hiding case files from us. It was the NBI limiting our access. So there was really only one way forward. We tried to mediate, didn't work. And so then I ran into the issue of, oh, well, the governor's retracting my nomination or removing me because the NBI director's throwing a fit. So then I guess I posed the question, and again, no disrespect to Orange. I mean, we're long past this now. But then the question becomes, well, what if we run into a governor who maybe wouldn't have had as good a reasons as Orange, maybe just wanted to remove an attorney general because they didn't like them or because they were prosecuting a friend, or maybe the governor himself had committed crimes. Then you run into the issue of, well, attorney general is a political position because it is appointed. I mean, it could serve at the pleasure of a party just as an elected attorney general could. So then I guess I'd pose the question to Derogatory and Walter, well, then what do we do at that point? Because it's kind of a lose-lose situation at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
at that point, you recall the governor. I mean, there's a reason that every president in the history of the United States, except the one who's currently going on a little tyranny episode, has generally respected the independence of the Federal Department of Justice, right? Even though they're appointed by the president, right? The president has recognized that there's a certain element of independence that has to happen in order for that institution to be legitimate, right? And we see it right now, in the federal government in real life. The Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security together are not seen as very legitimate right now, right? They're seen as attacking political enemies, right? And I think that if the president of the United States could be recalled, there would be, a very valiant effort to do that right now. But we can recall the governor here, and I think that's what would happen. I also think that, if the governor is going to remove the attorney general based on some kind of action, say they're like prosecuting the governor's friend or whatnot. It's quite easy to go to the press with that. It's quite easy to testify to the legislature about that.
I think it's easy to say that now in this current state. I mean, now we're
pull up Sato. Pull up Sato.
Now
He
we're
was
no.
he was the one day attorney general. He has a voice.
I mean, it's easy
It's been
for us to
invited.
say that now, Walter. But then you run into the issue of then it becomes
How are we doing?
Then
Attorney
you
generals.
What's
All
going
my
on,
attorney
dude?
generals. I need Colombian in here, dude.
No, fuck
All
that
right,
guy.
all right.
Anyways,
Let's get a little bit back on track,
Go ahead.
guys.
what
Go
I
ahead,
was saying
Justin.
is I think it's easy for us to say that right now, Walter. But then then it turns into a lose-lose situation. You have a competent attorney general that's no longer in office. You have a department in disarray, all because the governor does have that power. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we've had a bigger turnover of attorney generals, and this is me speaking as one that was removed. We've had a bigger turnover of attorney generals with it being a governor appointed position versus election. I mean, do you guys disagree to that point?
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
absolutely agree.
like we haven't
I just want to
seen-
say, I don't have a problem with him being elected, and I heard the biggest point was corruption. I really don't mind an attorney general being corrupt at all, personally. I mean that 100% seriously. I don't mind it at all. I think it's a
What
good
is
thing.
happening?
I mean, okay. Look at like Donald Trump, right?
This is why the guy only lasted one
He
day. Oh my god!
He
Alright,
appointed,
guys.
excuse me, he appointed his personal lawyer who represented him in the case he got convicted in as his deputy attorney general, and then he has the fanatic as its attorney general. So it doesn't really matter. I think it'd actually be a fun, interesting thing if the attorney general is corrupt.
If I can add in, I did have like 8 attorney generals in like one term. I won't deny that. But if they sucked, then like you would have been stuck with them. and
Oh,
they did suck.
not
The 8
necessarily.
before who got removed did unironically suck or had a good reason to be removed.
So can I pose a question to you?
But one second, Justin. The thing is, if the main reason is because of corruption, either for now or for future governors, the governor is always at the will of the people. There's recalls, there's impeachments. I don't think
Instead of electing the attorney general, we can appoint the attorney general for a life term. They serve
Yeah.
for
For
life.
justice.
we can do that. But I think also the DOJ has like a policy where they don't, or at least what Columbia told me, they don't prosecute sitting governors anyway. That's kind of why
I'm
you
sure
saw
they
would.
Trump's
Have the
case get
policy.
dropped.
Sure they
There's
would.
not a
Question
I
for
don't
you then,
know-
Orange. Do you
Definitely
think that's a
prosecuted
good
your ass.
policy?
I'll tell you that, bro. I would have appointed
Is
special
that
counsel.
No.
Is that a good
Oh,
policy
I
then?
would've.
Do you believe that it's the DOJ's policy, as you just stated? I wasn't aware of this actually. That they don't prosecute sitting governors.
I can
Is
tell
that
you,
a-
I
Not
I
the
wrote
case.
those
That came
policies.
moderately.
Hold up.
That wasn't something I
I wrote
imposed.
the policies. I'll tell you right now, it's not in there.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not in there
not a
anymore?
policy.
but I
It's
can
not
tell
in there.
It's
I
not
wrote
in
the
there
book.
anymore.
I can tell you what the policy is, and it's
But-
that if there is allegations that there was some sort of corruption or some if there was some crime that was committed by a governor that could potentially be impeachable, okay? And I can speak to this because this has already happened and it's not public, so I'm not going to provide any more detail past just the generalization that a special
You're
counsel
fucked.
can-
You're getting
Yeah.
impeached.
that the
That's what I'm
special
saying.
Yeah.
counsel that a special counsel can be appointed, and if there's evidence, it can be sent to the legislature. It's been done before.
That's true. That's true.
Mm.
So no, you can't prosecute the governor, but they can be impeached based off special counsel.
That's kind of what I meant. Yes,
You 100% could prosecute the governor.
you could.
You're
prosecute
making
the
that shit
governor.
up.
Okay, we're gonna prosecute the governor. Who's this guy? He's not one of the attorney generals.
Trade.
I could be.
You want to be the next attorney general?
He's
I
after
think I
Dero.
could. I'm going to kill all criminals,
Am I on my 8th attorney general?
and all cops will
I
get
thought Daryl's the
RPGs.
7th.
All right. Okay,
Anyways,
well,
what I think the
anyways.
problem is,
not to
is
cut
that
you
this
off,
group doesn't really care about justice to begin with. So whether you elect or appoint the AG, there's going to be crime. There's going to be corruption.
Hmm.
There definitely will be, and
It doesn't really matter
think-
at the
I
end of the
think
day.
that, I think
You're
I think
fucked either
half of
way.
half of the attorney general assemblies
Switched up is
have
crazy.
been for assembling today and taking the time to join this town hall. I think we've heard your points very clearly, and I thank you for that. But we got to let other people speak, or I'm going to get too many DMs about it.
Do we have to?
Do we have to? We don't have to.
We've kind
We
of
might have to.
we've got all the IQ
I mean,
points
Walter came back for this.
up on the stage right now.
I mean, he did come
I
back. From
represented
that.
myself for this. That's right.
Also, Rose.
He resurrected himself.
That is true. All right, I think we can leave the guys.
Moment for me to be here.
I know, and we'll see you. We'll see you in the audience, Walter. Thank you
Ah,
for rising
fuck
from
that
the dead for this. Thank you for rising from the dead.
He's a
Thank you,
hater.
Justin. Thank you,
He's a
Seda.
hater.
All
Let
right,
me stay. Let me stay.
who was next? Yeah, you're like co-hosts.
Why is Trade here?
He
I don't
begged
know.
me.
What? I was
He's a
invited.
special case.
All right, I said Gaming Vic would be next, so I'm gonna invite Gaming Vic up.
Oh, that guy's retarded.
Gaming Vic.
Not retarded, by the way, but so you guys want to make freaking AG elected? Is that
Yeah, that he does. Anakin Toast.
I
does.
do.
Why?
I think that, I mean, as we've been brought up and it's been gone over multiple times by now, I think that the Attorney General being appointed, it opens the door for future governors to use it as a corruptible position. I mean,
Well, Anakin, you can look at this with every other cabinet position, can you not?
you can, but I don't think any other cabinet position.
But why
holds-
would we want a dual executive unless we're going to weaken the executive branch?
I mean, we have that with the Department of State.
Okay, can I comment real
It's
quick?
being removed. It's
I think
not
to be fair, the AG is like very powerful. Like it's
triple
a really
executive.
powerful
We want a
position.
triple executive?
Yeah, I don't think that the Attorney General and I mean, just name an adjutant general, Omni, you can't really compare the two positions. One controls the guard, and one controls who gets prosecuted and who doesn't.
I think the guard is pretty powerful.
The guard is pretty powerful.
They're pretty
but again,
powerful. Can you pull up Austin and Sato? They have questions. Bring Nublets up here. Bring Nublets up. Pull
Sato
Nublets
was
up.
just up here,
Nublets
but
can
we'll...
come.
Bring Nublets up.
After the gaming
Can
Vic
we
had a
bring
question.
Calyus up? He's
And
an
then
expert
you,
in this area.
My
And
lieutenant
then
governor. Where's my
you-
lieutenant governor?
But back on topic, guys. All right, so I
And
think
then
the attorney
in
general
school.
holds quite a bit more power and influence over the state than any other cabinet position. I don't think it's really only comparable aspect is the Secretary of State having the recall power. But beyond that, I think that if you make the attorney general elected, there's going to be it's going to be much harder to corrupt. As not as Felix has brought up before, the recall power exists for the attorney general. If we believe that the attorney general is not serving the will of the people, we can always recall them. We've had, 7 or 8 attorney generals now in the past 6-7 months. I mean, that's a little bit more than one a month. It's getting to a point where no one wants to be attorney general anymore. And my belief is that as an elected official myself, I care a lot more for my position since I had to go through the effort of campaigning and getting elected than I would if I was appointed. And the same belief should apply to the attorney general. I mean, we've had issues with senators fulfilling their duties and executives, but if you look at Troubling spent he spent about 5 months out of his 6-month term as Secretary of State, and he did a pretty decent job. He went through the effort of everything, and he spent most of his time as Secretary of State.
What about like all the senators except Modern who hasn't served a full term?
anyways, I have a question for you.
No. Don't anyways this. No. Modern is the only
I'll
senator who
answer it.
served a full term.
I can answer this. I think that being a senator versus being a department head, like Secretary of State or Attorney General, aren't really comparable. I mean, I'm sure that derogatory's workload.
But everyone else also worked for their office, so why didn't they stay?
The workload of being a senator is not comparable to being a department head.
I think a department head is more. Much
is.
more.
It's much more, and it's much more.
Anyways,
silence.
my question to Digo, has Orange ever asked you to do something in regards to DOJ before, like prosecute someone?
I've never been asked. I've never been asked to not.
Let's bring the attorney generals back.
Yeah, it's always been my decision.
Do we trust governors to not be stupid?
I mean, you're
they're at the will of the people.
Yeah. Think about you elect the governor to appoint an attorney general. I think that is.
Sometimes the governor is dumb,
but they're at the will of the people.
Yeah, you can recall a governor.
I mean, hey, we could have had BR as governor, Orange.
Yeah, and he got crushed, bro. Fucking hell, man. Ghost of Nova too. Bring Austin up.
What does the community think about this? Because honestly, I really don't care about it. What does the community think about this? Because I low-key just want to see what.
I want to know what Austin
Plays has a question.
Poll. If you look in government announcements, I have a poll up. Just scroll up and you'll find it.
I have no idea what I'm gonna go for this. I have literally.
It was about 83% in favor.
I have a question for
the attorney general.
I have a question for Mr. Anakin Toast.
What's up, Sato?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest point of contention, like I was saying, seems to be corruption. But why is that an issue? I don't really think it matters. Like
people
honestly,
don't care about this.
Like most people are corrupt.
Why would you listen? That doesn't mean anything. Why would you run for a position and not care? It's just like, is corruption like using your power and not prosecuting a political ally, or is it just not doing anything? I think there's two separate, arguments to be made, but I don't really think it matters if the attorney general is corrupt. He can be corrupt either way. I was corrupt. I said I would prosecute anyone that I wanted for any reason. So I don't really think it matters.
He was corrupt for a
because I was corrupt for one day, but when I was an actual prosecutor, they let me do whatever I want, and it was pretty fun. So
I think that comes with limits.
I like this video.
I don't think Orange would do this, but what happens when a future attorney general goes to prosecute the governor's best friend, and then the governor fires the attorney general? It's an interruption of due process and law.
I like
I
turn
gotta-
this off. I like the sound.
I can't
These
hear
two
you.
trade off. I
Yeah.
can't turn
Yeah,
it
you
off.
gotta kick them off. All right,
I
say
can't
that
be
again.
trade now. I think that it becomes an issue more so about future governors. I don't think Orange would do this, but what happened if you were the attorney general and let's say Trade committed a horrific crime and you went to prosecute him, but he was Governor Gaming Vic's best friend, and Gaming Vic said, "No, you can't prosecute him, or I'm going to fire you." I mean, at that
I mean,
point,
this happens in real life. This happens
It does
like
happen. It does
you know,
happen.
all of
This
all
is
of
real.
Joe Biden's DOJ people, like say Hunter
Yeah,
Biden's
exactly.
prosecution.
Hunter Biden is
No.
like the perfect example. What if Trade was Gaming Vic's Hunter Biden? I mean, it's an
I mean,
interruption of
then-
due process. It's an interruption of law and order.
Well, then
It's
you
bad.
recall.
I want to
the governor.
echo what
You
Nubblet
can
said.
recall. You can recall them, but
Nubblet
I think
says,
you're-
"What if it's the AG's
Are we
best friend?
tracking AG?
No matter what, this issue still exists."
Right.
I want to
Exactly.
echo his thing because he's
yeah.
in school right now. He's apparently cutting someone open right now. Best of luck to you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor.
What is
good luck.
this, dude?
I love it.
You will never, ever,
It becomes an
ever,
issue.
will never, ever be able.
Low act.
You're.
What the fuck
But-
is going on?
But what Nubblet was saying is
Hello,
this
everyone.
issue is
Hello.
always here.
Hello.
Hi.
The issue is always there,
Yeah,
but
push up
again,
and
we
trade.
have the recall power, as was brought up multiple times by Walter and his stance on this. The recall power is very prevalent. And it's
So
very
what? Anakin, I have a
possible.
question.
So what? So
Alright.
what? Literally,
Alright.
so what? If you get recalled, so what?
Why don't you just put in for cause removal for the AG instead of doing this whole elected gambit? Just make it so the AG can't, the governor can't just remove the AG for whatever reason he wants.
Maybe the Senate has to approve
Well,
removal or
because-
some shit.
I mean,
But
Yeah,
you're going to
I
make a
think
constitution
we
anyway.
should
You
do
could put
that,
in the
but it's
constitution
still-
the AG can't be removed except for inefficiency, corruption, or misconduct.
then what
Can I-
happens if the
can I find
governor
out?
appoints a yes man?
What do you mean the governor appoints?
A yes man. I mean, what if he appoints an individual?
Well,
who
I
would
mean
do
that's
his
always
bidding?
going to be a risk, but then
function.
you can recall the governor if he does that. But
Dude, well, okay, it circles
the
back
main
to
concern,
corruption, but then
if you want
again,
to
who
separate the
cares?
AG from the governor, you just put full course removal. That's the easiest way, I think, than doing this whole election thing. But that's my opinion.
There's ways around for cause. I mean, if you just
Yeah.
say, you know,
Shout
the
out
governor
Turntable.
is the
Shout out
governor.
the courts.
The
Shout out the
fuck is-
courts.
Oh, Martha Sams. Oh, that's fine then. Yeah, no, anyways, I mean, the governor has a lot of executive. I think he's like the, it's different from real life where it's like Article 2 president, but I mean, there's ways around for cause.
I mean, yeah, but those challenges would be litigated, presumably, since if it's in the Constitution, it is an executive, it's a restraint on executive power, regardless of, and it's perfectly valid since you can put restraints on executive power in the Constitution. The Constitution's a top document. So if
Honestly, I just think an election would be cool, and like I think an election would be cool for the attorney general, and if he's corrupt, I don't really care.
I have thought about putting in the for cause in amendment, but additionally, I mean, we're on what derogatory attorney general number 7 or 8 in the past 6-7 months. I mean, I've spoken to multiple members of the judiciary on this, and it was either Singsky or Shah who said this, but the attorney general in the Department of Justice isn't like a flashy job. It's a boring job at the end of the day. It's a lot of paperwork. And
I think
again,
that's the
if you
opinion
run-
of virtually everyone in the judiciary.
That is the opinion of virtually everyone. But again, if you're running for office for attorney general, you're committed to it. It's not something that's like, you know what, I'll do this. This sounds fun because Arence asked me to be attorney general. And then 2 weeks in, you're like, holy shit, what the hell did I sign up for? I quit. If you go through the whole process of campaigning and working towards it, you're going to be a lot more committed to the position than you would be if you were just appointed. I said this earlier. I think that the for cause removal, the for cause removal is valid, and it is a concern.
Yo,
It is
Orange
something
Bear.
that's worthwhile, but again, we've gone through so many attorney generals in the past 6-7
that
months.
is another concern.
It is. I mean, I've mentioned it before, and I've referenced it before. It's
But
a
if the
very
main thing you're
double-edged
worried about
sword.
is corruption, then 4 claws would probably be a quite good way to guard against that, since unless the governor appoints a literal hack, which would get him recalled, and it is fairly easy to get someone recalled. A side
Who's
note, that
bringing all
should
these
also
people up
probably
here?
get changed. It's probably shouldn't be super easy to recall someone.
No, I've spoken to Orange actually. We have spoken about amending the recall amendment, uh, the recall portion of the Constitution,
Why don't we do
and
that
that is
first?
something.
Because
That's something I'd
ironically,
like
the
to work
Senate
towards as well.
wanted to make it easier to recall, but they made it way too easy to recall to the point where you can just ping, just make one ping and you get 300
I
people
agree.
just click
I
yes.
agree, awesome.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
no, I mean, I
people?
pinged. I gave people 5-minute notice, and I pinged for this at here only, and we have what 50 people in this VC, and it takes 300 just to get a recall. I think that it's way
I
too low.
agree. I
It's way
agree.
too low. And I mean, if you leave it up and you ping everyone for it, as they do, I mean, Sheriff Tom's recall is at 5:30 right now, and from memory, I think it got to 300 within the first hour or so, first day or so.
Yeah, because
we
people
should make it a
blindly
lot
hit
higher.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Random people just
Exactly.
hit
Yeah,
yes,
they
regardless
just
of
want to
what
be a part
actually
of
says.
something. They don't care
Exactly.
about what's it about. They just want to be a part of something. And that's the problem.
No, they
Yeah,
do.
there was a separate vote in the courts Discord, which was actually, voted on by some educated individuals. So I would take that one into account more so than the public one.
Well,
I
which
have
Okay,
actually.
Thank you,
okay.
I
Nomad.
spoke with
What is so bad
Nomadity.
about frequent recalls? I don't see a problem with that.
They're too easy. Like they're not, it really doesn't show the true. Because like people will just react to something and they won't know about it.
Yeah, they
won't
don't
know.
actually read anything. They just
slow
want
That
to
shit
could be
down.
click a button
said.
and
That
be a
could be
part of
said for
something.
anything though.
So
Like
we
I
gotta
don't
make it
understand why.
like we gotta make a way so like they actually like at least a few people have to read it for a person to be actually recalled.
Well, it's like real life, I mean, when people go to vote, they don't vote like, if they vote for Trump or Biden, right? Not everyone's voting for Trump because of his economic policy. People are voting for Trump because they just think he's cool, or Biden because they hate Trump. It's things like that. This is in real life as much as it is here, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, it is also Roblox, so people care
At
a
the
lot
very
less.
least, though, I do think that the recall should be equal to the amount of votes the person received in the actual general election. Currently, it's just 300 votes pretty much just across the board, and you get recalled even if you get like 400.
Well, no, it's
Which,
a third. It's a third or 300. So
A third
Yeah, well,
is
it's
you need
less.
1,000
I
votes for it
won.
to be a
I
third.
won my. Yeah, but I won my Senate election. Oh no, never mind. You're right. Forget what I was saying. No, but anyways, I think it is a double-edged sword, and now I don't know who the hell's bringing 500 people up here. So
Hey, I'm about to dip.
whoever
I'll
wants
just
to go.
say good night to everybody and have a great day. Goodbye.
Good night, Gaming Vic. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
that's weird.
Okay, so I'm just gonna
Well,
go
what's the
in order.
issue?
I'm just gonna go in order from the top and letting people speak. Royd, would you like to speak next?
Hi. So I got dragged up here. Should women be allowed to be AG?
No.
What?
Good question.
I think that's a very
It's a policy. We don't hire women in the cabinet.
All right, good. Thank you. That's why I voted for you.
Yep.
All
Thank you,
right.
thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Bye.
Who else?
Okay,
Act.
Yeah.
Question.
I just want to go back on the corruption thing. You'll never ever be able to like remove that, or like you can't worry about that. It's a game. Like it's gonna happen in any
Corruption
job.
is
You're
everywhere.
gonna
Just a chill guy.
exactly. It's a game. It's not gonna
Oh,
go
yeah, there's
away.
always going to be corruption in the Lego game, so I think that's a
Exactly.
fair point.
Like
That's why I said it
no
doesn't
matter
matter.
if it's an elected thing or an appointed position, like it doesn't matter. It's gonna happen.
I mean, people don't take their
And
job as seriously as they do IRL. I mean, that's never going to be the case. No one's ever going to look at a Lego job and go, "Yeah, that I'm going to take this as seriously as IRL."
exactly.
Mhm.
Like it's a popularity thing. If people like you, you'll be fine. If not, like if I posted something right now about Orange and everyone just turned on him and they just started bringing up evidence against him, he's gonna get prosecuted because nobody else likes him. But if it was the other way around and people liked him and evidence turned up, then you're not gonna prosecute him because that's he
You know who tried
the
to
people can
prosecute
remove
Orange
you.
there? awesome plays.
I
And
remember
I was a
that.
judge.
I think something went on there. But yeah, I mean,
He's
you
a
can't really
judge.
worry about the
All
corruption thing.
speculation.
It's all speculation.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was not real.
It didn't
was not,
happen.
as
It's
It
a
was
figment
not
of
real.
your imagination.
Beto
not
was my
real.
defense
The
attorney, by
charges
the
are
way. I would have
Thank
won.
you.
I would have
Thank you
crushed
for your
Gucci.
comments. Bryant Azuris.
I
DMT
do have
question.
an actual question after whoever
Okay.
goes next. I'll let
What
Brian,
about Rocket?
Brian,
Rocket.
oh,
What is your
Rocket.
question?
I'm sorry, Rocket. What is your question?
Okay, pull him down.
Great question.
Beto?
Who's next? Notable. Your edit was
Hi,
pretty
hi,
good.
Anakin. All right, so
Hello, Your Honor.
admittedly, I just got off of work, so I didn't hear like the first I just got here like 5 minutes ago.
Wait. like,
What is like? Can you just summarize in like a sentence or
Work?
two, like what the motivation here is between?
Basically,
He has a
basically
job?
a summary of
Yo,
the,
can you
the,
not
co-
say that
the
word?
cons and the pros are corruption. Corruption opens up for corruption. There's foreign influence. There's not foreign, but third party influence. If it's an elected official, it opens it up to corruption. The governor can dismiss as it will. Awesome brought up that we could just amend and make it. He has to dismiss with cause or with the consent of the Senate, which is worthwhile. And yeah, it's kind of been it. There was a lot of back and forth between the former attorney generals. But yes. So what is your question?
I mean, I guess my question is like, how do you think that like this change is actually going to solve the issue of corruption? Because like I personally don't see any difference.
I think that with this change and at the moment, the attorney general serves at the will of the governor. I don't think Orange would do anything like this, but for future governors, anything is possible. And I wouldn't put it past future governors wanting to appoint yes men to the position who will refuse to prosecute their best friends. Sato brought up Hunter Biden, and I think Hunter Biden's a perfect example of what I'm speaking about. I mean, if we have a Hunter Biden situation in Mayflower, which in reality is pretty likely it'll happen at some point.
Yeah,
Man,
cocaine.
he was innocent.
Leaves.
It'll be fruit.
No matter what you do, nothing is going to change. Like,
Yeah,
right
right.
now
So,
it's elected. Like, if you change it to elected, and you prosecute the governor is a the election is a popularity contest. It's not like policy. It's not a policy thing.
Thanks.
It's like
all right.
So what
So
if
it
you
sounds
just
like you're
elect
saying like
a yes
like
man attorney general?
but that's not actually very feasible because if you read the Constitution, right, the attorney general is supposed to represent the executive branch in the courts. And so, you know, obviously the attorney general is going to need to be under some level of influence from the executive himself if he's going to do that job effectively, right? So obviously there's going to be some level of influence whether he's elected or not from the executive. And so you're always going to have that level of corruption if your governor is corrupt. So this like installation doesn't really solve that corruption problem in my view.
Shut your fucking mouth!
All right, Zurihan, this is why we ruled against you in the Supreme Court, my friend. All right.
Well, I think it's at the end of the day, it's a
It's a
legal
good
game.
point.
Corruption will happen. Corruption will happen whether it's elected or it's appointed. I think by making it elected, again, as has been brought up multiple times by now, the recall power exists. It's very easy. It's easy-ish to recall someone if people chose to recall the attorney general and they thought that he was corrupt. They could very easily.
They could
I
also,
mean, the same
if
goes
you
for the
prosecute
governor.
someone like
Sure,
a
but-
criminal or like
but
the
then
governor, they can just recall
It
him.
does. It's a
I have
double-edged
a
sword.
question. I have a question.
Yes, Sato.
So, what qualifications do you want, like, for someone to qualify as a candidate for the, I thought you heard me for a second, for the attorney general, like, election?
I spoke to Singsky about this earlier, actually, and he and I brainstormed a little bit on qualifications, and some qualifications that I've come up with at the moment that I'm pretty hard set on is that at minimum they have to be bar certified for at least 3 months and within good standing with the bar association. So no disciplinary records. And then they would also need signatures from at least 5 licensed attorneys. I'd be willing to move that up to maybe 10 or 15 attorneys because 5. I've spoken to people since I spoke to Singsi, and 5 seems a little low. But I mean, again, at that point, you're getting the consent of your bar certified peers, and you already have the bar certification. You're already qualified. I think those should be the minimum qualifications to even run for office.
I think you should
Not
have an
So-
exam, competency exam.
No, that's
competency
stupid.
You could just
exam.
cheat on those. It doesn't
So
really.
it's
I mean, yeah.
so it's
Right.
you said
Well,
you
at
need a
least
bar
make it like
certificate, and you need to be nominated by the. I wasn't listening to the next part. It was like bar
You
certificate.
need to have. So you know how you have the petitions if you want to run as an independent.
Yeah.
You'd have something equivalent to that. That's to run for attorney general.
So like
and
a
you'd need
number
the
of signatures
a
from
number of
people who
licensed
have a bar
attorneys.
license.
Yes.
Yeah, I
but
like that.
there is an issue with that because in the United States we have a 1 person 1 vote rule, and when you're having bar certified individuals essentially deciding at least the preliminary election of attorney generals, you violate the 1 person 1 vote rule. Or at least they're pushing up against it. No, you do though.
I think
because if you have a bar certification, your vote automatically
Nominations,
holds
but
more weight.
no. But it's nominations. It's not like
an election.
Well, yeah, I don't really care about that.
Too.
Doesn't matter. You can get
What
an
do you mean
idiot. You
doesn't
can get
matter?
an idiot anywhere. You can get an idiot in this. There's plenty of idiots in the Senate.
Right, but then
We're
the
not worried
recourse
about
to get
that.
them out
I don't think
is impossible.
I said this earlier, Orange, but I think that the Secretary of State, County Sheriff, and then presumably the Attorney General, those elections are too large to be meaningfully influenced by criminal organizations. They'd help. They do influence them, but they help. I mean, if I'm looking at the county sheriff election from last election right now, and then just from a rough estimate off the top of my head, there was over 1,000 votes in that, and I spilled Taco's got what 500 votes roughly. You got 500 votes. No criminal organization is big enough that they could impact more than maybe, 50 to 70 votes, I'd say. I think that's a
Are you
conservative
saying
estimate.
that's like an insignificant number though? That's like a lot of votes.
It's not an insignificant number, but if you look at you don't need 500 votes, but if you look at you won by 130, 131. Yeah.
Well, we won by at least 300 before the mail-in ballots came in. So.
But still,
I think that
mean,
felons should not be able to
becomes
vote in the
such a-
state of Mayflower. Fuck the felons.
I agree.
Good.
Convicted felons.
Yeah,
I think
these
convicted
criminal
felons shouldn't be
scum are
eligible to vote
influencing our
until their
attorney general
conviction is
election.
removed. To be honest.
Agreed.
I agree. Actually, in the United States, you can have slavery for someone that's been convicted of a felony if you go read that amendment. I think we ended up the same thing here. A traffic infraction? No more
Traffic
voting rights.
infraction, revoke their voting rights. Yep, that sounds legit.
All right. Thank you for your concerns. I'm gonna move you guys back down so more people get the chance to speak. All right. Okay. Nomadity, did you have a question?
Yeah, my question was, why would you do something as stupid as making it an elected position?
I think I've brought up my reasoning for making an elected position multiple times already, but again, making the Attorney General an elected position frees it from any kind of external influence from the executive branch. I think that the Attorney General is in a unique position, and Derogatory can correct me on this if I'm speaking out of my ass, but the Attorney General is in a unique position where they're more significant than almost any other cabinet position, and in a way more powerful than any other cabinet position, aside from the Secretary of State, who has the recall power. And as the Secretary of State is elected, and the Department of State is outside of the governor's purview, I think that the Department of Justice should have something similar. I'm not saying that the Department of Justice should have the same Department of State restrictions outside of the governor's purview entirely, but the attorney general should be independent, and the attorney general should have the opportunity to, if they wanted to, prosecute the governor. They shouldn't be shielded from prosecuting. No one should be shielded from prosecution by the Department of Justice.
Follow-up question: is there anything that says that they can't prosecute the governor?
There's nothing that explicitly says that, but in reality, as it stands of right now, the governor can dismiss. If derogatory decided he wants to prosecute RNs for a felony, he can dismiss derogatory and appoint someone who won't prosecute him, and the case could never see the light of day.
Yeah, there's that, but would you
Yeah.
also possibly consider the fact that if you were to dismiss him solely to avoid prosecution, that that'd be an act of misconduct?
Absolutely,
Would
it would.
be.
And
And
I would
it
get
would
so
open
loud about
locker.
it too. Like it wouldn't. You're saying it like it's gonna stay private. It's not. If he were to do something like that, if he were to go and shoot somebody right now, then my office got word about it, and then I tried to do something about it, and he just removed me. It wouldn't go all quiet. Like people would know about that. It's not just gonna, you know.
That is if the governor's party doesn't hold the seats of the legislature.
Okay,
I
but
mean,
that also applies true to the attorney general if he is elected. Then a whole political party has control over the attorney general. Like, hey, you do this, or you're not going to run again with us. You know?
either way that you show it, the one political party has control of the attorney general. The difference is that the people get the decision to decide that if the attorney general is poor in his conduct, you think the attorney general is bad, then the people can recall him and they can do something about it. The actions of the attorney general won't always reflect on the governor. I mean, the whole recall argument works, but I don't think it works against the governor. I mean, an argument can be made that Orange has grossly mishandled the Department of Justice, given how many attorney generals we've had in the past 7-8 months.
That's
But
not his
no one
fault.
seems. It's not. That's not necessarily. But again, it's a failure of his, and he's admitted to this before. I think that.
And I also want to point out, yeah, you can impeach an attorney general as well. Like, the people do have a say,
You
regardless,
can't.
because they can go
Again,
to a senator like yourself and say, hey, I have problems with this attorney general. He's been doing things behind the people's
and
backs.
that was happening with Walter until his death. But I mean, again, double-edged sword every way it goes about. There's
Right.
no there's no clear there's no right answer, and I don't necessarily think there's a wrong answer in the elected or appointed debate. I think it goes back
Mhm.
specifically to, do we want to have the ability for an attorney general to be of an opposing political party to the governor and to work towards bipartisanship, or do we want the attorney general to open up as a yes man, to be the potential to be a yes man for the governor? And I mean,
What's
we
the
continually go
guarantee?
through them.
What's the guarantee that if it's elected, it wouldn't just be from the same party?
There's no guarantee. There's no
Well, yeah.
guarantee except
Okay.
the voice of the people. I mean, if the people, if it's you in derogatory and one of you's running MU, one of you's running GOP, and the people decide that they like, the GOP guy better, then you're not directly under the governor's influence. The governor can't shield anyone from prosecution as he has the power to right now. I mean, it all goes back to that. It goes back to the people.
Would you
And
rather the attorney general be as you put it, a yes man to be, or to the governor, or to a political party?
I think
Right,
that
because
the
you are
there's a-
politicizing the role
Yeah.
further at that point.
Yeah. So would you rather a yes man to the governor, who, I mean, honestly, I think some of the role of the AG is to kind of affect the policy decisions of the governor as it relates to the executive branch, with law enforcement, because he is the head of the executive branch, and you are assuming a small part of his power to control law enforcement agencies and supervise them, almost like as a superintendent. So I feel like it's a little bit more appropriate for the attorney general to answer to the governor rather than answer to a political party who has its, hands in a lot of places.
Another thing to note is just because the governor appoints the attorney general doesn't mean that he answers to him at all. And so essentially, you're dealing with two absolutes. You know what Obi-Wan said. But fucking, so you're saying either there's a attorney general who's appointed by the governor and does anything that he wants to do, or you're saying there's the possibility of an elected attorney general who can possibly be of a different party. And in my eyes, I see that being more of like an issue for the efficiency of government if there's so much politics revolving around a position that should be more about effectively doing their work. Because if you're saying an opposing party could get elected, and when I say opposing, I mean they have different ideas and morals of the incumbent party for the governorship, then you're essentially giving them a playing field to be able to have senatorial inquiries or anything else that could halt the efficiency of government.
It does, but again, the powers of law enforcement don't derive from the governor, it derives from the Constitution. The attorney's job should be first and foremost enforcing the Constitution, upholding the Constitution, and ensuring there's proper rule of law within the state. It shouldn't be anything. There should never be the question of, does this affect the governor, or does this affect my political party? I mean, that exists, but again, as I've seen personally in the Senate, just because you're all from the same party doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get all the same votes. I mean, we could see in government announcements, Donald J. Trump, who's a part of the same party as me, is against this point of view of electing the attorney general. There's opinions that, yes, it may affect it, but the same argument is made for the governor. And then the people have more power in the sense that they're able to initiate a recall. They're able to initiate a recall, and it's more public on the attorney general's misdoings versus as it is now. I mean, the attorney general is completely subservient to the governor. There was the only time this really has become a popular case was Sheriff Tom, as has been brought up before. That was probably the most politicized as the attorney general has gotten in recent memory within Mayflower. And again, that called for impeachment. It called for reform. And then Walter died, quote unquote, and was dismissed as a result of the will of the people. It happens, but it's less prevalent. Then I don't know. I mean, Justin has DM'd me multiple times about this, so I think he has a very strong opinion he'd like to state.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to chime back in. I mean, I was giving Anakin a play-by-play of what my opinion was on this. But I mean, the illusion that the position isn't already or couldn't already be political just seems like we have blind right now. I mean, you're telling me that it's not more likely that an attorney general appointed wouldn't be from the same party as the governor, or have the same view, or act at his will? I mean, I think that you just have blinders on. I mean, I think you have more of a shot of the attorney general being independent and less likely to be at the will of the governor if it's an elected position. I mean, does anybody disagree with that characterization? I mean, you don't think it's political already?
You were a little bit like staticky.
Your mic is a little poor.
That's sad.
Hold up 1 second.
Or someone was staticky. I don't know.
Is it better? Is it better now?
It's not me, buddy. A little
It's-
bit, yeah.
It's Sato's
was Justin.
feedback because when Justin talks, Sato's thing lights up.
He was
I
laughing.
think.
He was
Oh,
No, I think. Sorry, Drew.
I mean-
before you
No,
go.
no, I'm just saying. I don't know.
No, I
Yeah,
think Justin's brought up a very good point. And I mean, we saw this happen during the election with the MAA case. I mean, the MAA, there was a report, an MPBS news article that came out about it, but the MAA was directly influenced by the governor after citing someone who was flying a campaign helicopter and violating their regulations. I mean, that happens in such a, in comparison to the Department of Justice, an insignificant department, then it can happen absolutely in the Department of Justice where it'll matter more. It's not going to be more so a matter of person A has a helicopter license and person B doesn't, and more so person A gets prosecuted and the other person gets shielded. I mean, they're
Good.
I
Well, I'm
agree
glad
that it
there's
can be looked at.
corruption. I'm glad there's corruption, to be quite honest with you. This is
So
not
my
even a joke.
question
Like,
is,
it's just like there's more things to do when there's corrupt people. Like, there's more things to get mad about. There's more things for me, if I'm doing the Lego lawyer, there's more things for me to do in the courts. There's more things for me to challenge. Like, I'm glad that there's corruption. There's more things for me to do.
we're focusing on the cons of election. My question is, what's the cons with the current system? Like, what's wrong besides the corruption factor? What's wrong with appointing the AG? Like, I
If
don't understand.
the attorney general fires the wrong person, then they're removed. If the
That
attorney
doesn't really.
the attorney
I
general
would
tries
I would
to take
honestly say
action that's
I would honestly
unpopular to
say
the
I'll let you
governor,
finish.
if the attorney general tries to take any action that's unpopular to the governor or any way if it's a roadblock for the governor, the attorney general can be removed. I mean, you have to look at this from the other side. I know we've talked about the cons, but I think that my situation is prime. Yes, I probably wasn't going to get the votes in the legislature because of the action I took. But the action I took wasn't invalid either. I mean, unless Orange can come up with a plausible reason for why it was invalid that I
What did you
removed the
do?
MBI director, I removed the MBI director for misconduct. I mean, there
What's wrong with that?
exactly, and that's why my nomination was revoked. I mean, unless another reason can be produced, but that's why I've been such a staunch advocate for it to be elected. Because I think again, the biggest point that I want to get across and why I chimed in the first place and asked Anakin to put me up here is the illusion that that the position isn't already political is invalid. I mean, through and through. I mean, I wouldn't say that I was an Orange Bear loyalist by any means, unless Orange thinks otherwise. But I obviously made a very unpopular decision, and then my price to pay was that I didn't get to be Attorney General. I was the only one that, like Orange had said earlier, was the only one that he fired. So, I mean, what the result of it was that, I mean, just about every department head came out, was unhappy I removed the MBI director, and as a result, Orange had the ability to fire me, so he chose to do that. And there was no time taken to stop and question, was the action valid? It's unpopular, so the attorney general's removed, and that's not something that it wouldn't have been as immediate had it been an elected position. There would have been the opportunity that if people wanted to recall me, had I not just been acting and I'd been fully into the attorney general position, I could have been recalled and then I could have stated my case.
You
But
would be
instead,
insulated by the election, is what you're saying.
well, no, that's a matter of opinion. But see, saying that you removed me because of the unpopularity in group announcements doesn't reflect the entire. I mean, I know I'm just stating a fact. Like if you look at it from a different perspective, let's say that I'm speaking in generality. I'm not speaking to necessarily specifics. I'm just saying if you have an attorney general who makes an unpopular decision, it's either A, the governor has the option to remove them right now, or B, if it's elected, you leave it to the people to decide. So it's one person.
I think Snowback has something to say.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna bring up.
Where's
So
oh,
let me bring this point to you. So the governor is elected, right?
Oh, am I unmuted? Hello. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, how are
Good
you?
afternoon.
Good evening.
So the
Sure.
governor is elected
yeah.
by a majority vote. So don't you think that the people put their trust in the governor to appoint a worthy attorney general that would work for the people?
Did they intend on?
I think Israel puts their trust in who they want to lead the state. So that's us.
Israel does not control the elections. It's a myth. Israel's not even like a real thing.
Mr. Justin D20, if you were elected Attorney General, would you pledge to investigate CI PAC?
I'm just going to respond to the comment that was made. I think that yes, a majority of the people have obviously elected Orange to 2 different terms now, but I don't think that they intended on him having 5 different attorney generals. So then there's another argument to be made, another discussion point. At that point, why don't we let the people decide and have an attorney general who maybe will last more than a month?
Well, to be fair, just as Orange stated earlier, none of the departures from the position were necessarily in his control at all, besides yours. But once again, you were just acting. All the other ones left of their own accord.
Aside from
I think we have the guy in here that had the most shortest term. Big shout out to Sato and
Justin
Pacto.
D20, shortest term.
Yes, but adding on to your point on Taco, the governor does put his trust in us, and the people do put their trust in the governor to appoint the cabinet members. But there's so many factors to the cabinet, and there's so many factors that would be, as everyone stated so far, this is an election is a popularity and I mean, we have a 500-person guard, and Orange has done a great job with establishing the National Guard. He's done, a pretty good job with most of Letty. We have a massive cop base. There's more factors to it than just the Department of Justice. And if you have your concerns about the governor with the Department of Justice, they can be outweighed by, the Department of Transport, which is massive, the National Guard, which is massive, and he's done great jobs with both of those. There's pros and cons, and when you're voting for the governor, there can be more pros than cons, even with something as prevalent as the Department of Justice, which, we've had, around 7 attorney generals now in 7 months. That's kind of wild. It's too many, and there's not enough stability in the position of attorney general. I don't think that there's enough time for them really to get established and, figure out what's been going on for the past few months. Derogatory, maybe you could provide more insight on this, but there's been a bit of a learning curve with you trying to go in and you got to figure out everything that's been going on, what standing operating procedure is, all of that stuff.
If I might add
going in, and that probably takes you a couple weeks to
Well, I was a deputy to Walter, and I was there when he made all the policies that we still have. I still use the policies that he made when he was AG. They're really good. So I was part of making them, so I'm really not affected by that. But I did have to get a bearing on everything first before I started making changes.
If I can add, I think there is kind of a cultural issue with the DOJ where it's like there's a lot of people who are they've been there for a while, and when I got there, I would have fired a lot of people, but I reckoned I would have done more damage than good in the long term. So I kind of just left. Number 1 for personal reasons, and number 2 because of that. If I did stay, I would have ended up firing a lot of people. And yeah, I do agree there is a lot to assimilate if you were elected into the culture and you weren't used to it.
I agree.
I don't disagree. I think Snowbacco was next on this question.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a departure from AG, but it is noted in the Constitution, and CA has said that if laws are created regarding a district attorney, that they would allow that. And that would be a possible alternative to an elected AG. It could still solve the issue of prosecutions maybe not going through. It would also solve the issue of, you said that there was a high workload on AGs, which is creating an issue of turnover. So I feel like that could solve some of the issues. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the district attorney, I think it could be a good solution, a good compromise almost, as opposed to making the attorney general elected. I would have to. I'm not the most familiar on how district attorneys work in contrast to an attorney general in Roblox terms. So I'd have to look into that and speak with people who are a little more knowledgeable.
I don't think they would
on
ever
that.
have enough. Sorry, I don't think they would ever have enough staff in their office. It would just be split pretty much between the DOJ.
It's funny that you say that. I was about to ask derogatory. What's your staff numbers?
It is pretty difficult to find prosecutors now, especially because people aren't encouraged to submit because they can't transfer their bar. So like if they didn't do it at the start of Clark, they can't transfer it now, so they have to take the big ass test, and so they obviously don't want to.
Maybe
But,
Mr. Bar Director can work on that.
I already spoke to Turntable.
The Matity.
Turntable, and he told me that there was no problem with it. I didn't really think of DMing Numanity. I probably should have actually, but it is a problem.
Why?
I understand that it's
What-
a like if they're
I
lazy,
don't-
whatever. But
I don't
One
disagree
thing
with
though
that-
is
that
that
take.
I feel like a DA's office wouldn't necessarily have to have too many staff because you could have them focusing on more of the more of the in-game crime that goes on, stuff that's easy to just throw it through the system real quickly. and
Okay,
not a
okay.
large
I wouldn't call it easy by any means. I think that even if you were to put a DA into law, and yes, you transfer the workload, you're still going to run into the same issue derogatory has right now, which is the finding prosecutors. I mean, that was.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know if Sato. I mean, Sato. I don't know. I can't even remember how long you were there, Sato. But I mean, I know that even in my
I had a
short stint,
plan. I had a plan before going in. We talked about it, and then I got there, and I was like,
yeah,
I had to get rid of so many people. Where I was like, if I did, it would just make everybody hate me. So I shouldn't like. There was no point in me being there. Plus, I had personal my job.
I
my
mean,
job. Can't say
that's
it.
what that's what I ended up doing is so Sato was there before me. Me and Sato had talked. I mean, all of DOJ admin talked with Sato. Then after Sato departed, then it was me. Then we ended up having to let go of a lot of people because nobody was doing anything. So then you end up short staffed, but then you can't find people to fill the positions. So if you were to bring a DA into law, I think you're just going to run into the same issues. I mean, yes, you could hypothetically transfer casework to the DA's office, but it's not going to be any different than just hiring more staff at the DOJ. I mean, it's not.
No, no, it's not like you would be creating more cases or removing any amount of prosecutors from the pool of people there. If anything, you mentioned that there's a sort of culture in the DOJ's office, so it might actually allow more people to get into the prosecutorial job if they don't agree with or aren't able to assimilate
Well,
themselves.
the issue is there's not enough experienced prosecutors. I think what we should
Right.
do is focus on getting MSU set up because they teach at least decent level stuff. So we should get them at least set up so they can try and get us more prosecutors.
It's a significant learning curve to go from. I mean, I think that there's even times like I've been in the legal community now since Mayflower launched, but there's even times where I have to go back and read up on stuff. Like, I mean, it takes some time to get acquainted to becoming a prosecutor, and I think that I think we'd be naive to think that creating a DA position is going to solve any of the current issues with DOJ. I mean, at least
all it is. I mean, you do a charging document, you do a discovery document, and then you talk at the trial. That's really all. I mean, there's
Well,
hardly
the thing
anything.
is, to be a prosecutor, you have to like in every action you take, it has to be near perfect. Otherwise, it reflects badly on the justice department. Reflect badly on you.
Well,
But
Sato,
when you're a defense attorney, you're just preying on the other person's mistakes if it's
correct.
Go ahead, derogatory.
I know from previous cases I've looked at when Sato defends. Oh my God.
I'm gonna mute.
Oh my
I'll
God.
mute him. All right, go ahead.
Little Blintz, are you okay? All right.
He's going.
Sato, when you were defending people, I know prosecutors had to answer like 10 motions, so I don't think it's that easy as you're portraying it. Especially for the newer prosecutors, they have to answer your like 10 briefs. They have to brief on, 3 different topics. It's a little bit more. than just
Maybe I was a
discovery.
little harsh, but
Yeah.
See, and
Yeah,
that's one
maybe.
thing. I feel like a DA's office could be helpful here because, I mean, if we're being honest, I've looked through the court's channels. There are easy cases and there are hard cases. Like some of the criminal stuff just goes through, bam, bam, boom, it's done. Other stuff, it's a month-long process. So if you're able to shoot that simple process stuff down to a DA's office who might have newer lawyers, people that aren't necessarily cut out for DOJ yet,
I
that
don't
would
think
give
that would
them
happen.
the place to get the experience they need and to learn. Because let's be honest, the law school stuff doesn't pan out. It just never does.
I don't
It never is active.
I
It's
think
I don't
if you want
personally
that,
see how that's any different than something that the the DOJ could do at present. I mean, the lack of a DA enables the DOJ that if derogatory wanted to, he could build a massive prosecutorial office. He could have so many prosecutors. He could have his own training course. I mean, in
Right.
terms of Roblox, I don't understand the concept of having a county government and a state government in something like Clark right now. I think that they'd just be redundant. And I think that the same argument can be made for the DA and the AG. You can compare a lot of it to real life, but I mean, state level and county government, I think you kind of just have to choose between which one you're going to use. At the end of the day, this is one county. The state government practically acts as the county government. I mean, the governor's interchangeable with the county executive, and the senate's interchangeable with the county board. It gets to a point where it becomes redundant, and then it gets it's like I've said. But
I totally agree with you there. I definitely think that jurisdictional issues are one of the biggest reasons for places to go inactive when you have two things trying to do the same job. I think it would be better if you just have the DOJ and the AG. But I also was just proposing that as something you could do in lieu of having an elected AG, because it doesn't sound like that's getting much traction. I assume that would be a tough fight.
Well, I
think
think
it's possible, but you risk creating two AGs at that point. I mean, how in terms of Roblox, how different is the district attorney going to be from the attorney general?
It's
I
just a
don't
matter.
know.
That's the thing. It's not really detailed anywhere. You would have the ability to write up what it does and doesn't do. The AG, as it currently stands, has a really broad mandate for what they do. I mean, they serve as oversight for every police agency. They serve as the head of the DOJ. They have a lot on their plate. You could
If
make
you
the
want,
DA.
if you
Go
want
on,
more
Seto.
prosecutors, what my goal was just like reorganizing the DOJ. Like I was gonna get rid of arbitration because I dislike arbitration anyway, and just repurpose everyone into prosecutors. So it's prosecution first. It's really just an organizational thing from my view. Like we have enough people, we really do. It's just organizational. And I don't think a DA's office would change that. You just need to
I
reorganize.
kind of disagree with that. I mean, you say that there's an issue of organization, and that being that not the DA, that the DOJ has a very large mandate. It's hard for them to manage all of their resources with the scope of their activities. So if you hand some of that over to a DA's office, that would alleviate the managerial burden on the DOJ while allowing the same staff
I
to do
don't
the case.
necessarily think that would be the best.
There's no
No, I don't
difference
think
unless
it's
you
the
have
best
like
either.
the DA can prosecute
Again, this is just a way to
municipal
add
ordinances
an
and the
elected
DOJ
position
can't.
in. It's not necessarily the best as far
Okay,
as efficiency
I've got
goes.
I think we've deviated a little bit from the current topic. I think that I think we've all made our points very clear on district attorney versus district attorney and keeping the AG as it is, and replacing, keeping them both. I think that we're just going in circles at this point. Rocket and Zolez have been patiently waiting for their questions, so whoever wants to speak up first can go.
It wasn't really a question; it was more of a statement. My kind of point of view on this. I believe the pros outweigh the cons better when the attorney general is appointed, because, like some of the news articles mentioned, it's like politicization, right? The attorney general has to worry about the burden of viewing or being viewed by the public for re-election, right? And doing everything right to appease the public, not what they're really like tasked or mandated to do. You know what I mean? They don't have to worry about that burden when they're appointed, right?
I think Justin and Sato have brought that up with. I mean, Sato said that his plan would have been firing so many people that he would have just become so unpopular. And then Justin was going to remove someone prominent, and that was going to compromise his confirmation from the legislator. I think with those points in hand, and you go to it, it kind of begs the question: do we want the decision of who the attorney general is to be solely
I would have
up to the Senate?
I would have liked to have been insulated by an election. Just to add to that, that would have been good. For me to make my decisions, and that's why I support the election as well.
But
I mean,
as I was saying, go for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just to back up Sato. I mean, if you think about it in a perfect world, again, we go back to the election. The biggest pro that I see, and I'll leave myself off here, is had there been election and I made the decision that I did, there would have been no question that there would have been a chance for me to at least advocate for my decision rather than being immediately removed. So I'll leave it there, though.
Well, did you? I just have a question for you. Did you have a chance to explain yourself to Governor Orangeburg before?
Orange approved the termination and then subsequently rescinded my nomination after I made the decision. And I'm happy to share that with everybody if they really want the evidence. But that's why I've been such a staunch advocate for the election, because it was kind of like a stab in the back once I made the decision, because I'd already proposed it to Orange. Orange told me not to make significant changes without his approval, got the approval, had somebody else from the governor's office who oversaw the decision being made, and then still got sacked. So
I think that it just goes to the question of, do we want the decision of who's the attorney general to be solely in the hands of 12 senators, or do we want the populace at large to have that permission? I mean, again, as has been brought up numerous times, recalls happen, but in Justin's case, he wasn't going to get confirmed because he made an unpopular during his recess appointment. And Sato said the same thing. Insulating it by an election would help them. Again, I mean, we saw with Honorapedia's recalls, he got recalled 3 times, but none of them went through, and he was able to state his case in court. The recalls aren't a perfect system by any means, but it provides insulation. And again, as Sato and Justin have both said, it gives them a chance to state their case against the recall.
I know one of the main issues was the politicization of the attorney general position. I think me and Daryl talked in the attorney lounge in the courts, but we
You're
thought
a little bit quiet.
sorry, me and Daryl talked in the attorney lounge, and I think he also agreed with me on this. He doesn't like it. It could have a longer term than the governor. Should probably also institute some anti-political laws for the attorney general specifically, like the like the Hatch Act, like.
Sorry, what did you say? You cut out
Yeah,
at the end.
I can't really hear what you're saying. Here, let me turn
Hatch
you up.
Act.
Here, what'd you say? Here, I turned
Sorry,
you
can you
up.
say that one more time?
Hatch Act. If any of you know what that is in real life,
Oh,
you could institute something
Hatch?
similar like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Derogatory, bro. Can you tell Adam J. Sherman to stop trying to prosecute me for reckless driving?
Maybe
What
you
the
deserve.
fuck
I
is
mean,
wrong with this
are
guy?
you a
Oh,
CI
sure.
pack plant though? I'm hearing that's
Alright,
what they're
guys.
saying.
If I may,
Everyone's
Anakin Toast.
Yes, you may, please.
One big point I wanted to bring up was come back to me in 2 minutes. Everybody was just talking.
Okay. Rocket, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. I'm moving you back to the audience. All right. Teabagger, you had your hand up. Do you have a question?
I have a question after him.
I don't have a question. Can I stay here?
Sure, why not?
That was a question.
Oh my god, look at his
We got
video.
a Chinese man on our screen.
Look at his video,
God.
dude. What the fuck?
God.
What
Mayflower's
the
been
Come on,
infiltrated.
let's continue this shit. Come on, come on.
Just put it in the
Mayflower's been
shower.
infiltrated. Oh God.
I think it's the
Attorney
new
General
Ted.
debate in the shower.
Can we
Gotta get it.
continue? Can we continue? Can we continue?
All right. Sato. I think Sato's next.
All right. So, would you make a law giving judges absolute immunity for all crimes committed, regardless of whether they're official acts or not?
I think we're getting off topic here. Let's keep in mind this guy has his dick and balls out while he's talking to us with his camera on.
No, I'm not. I'm an
Someone
undies.
clip
I'm an
that.
undies.
Could someone please clip that? If someone clips that, I'll put it in government announcements right now. I need that clip. No, I think I'd be more willing to make a law specifically for people for judges not named Sato Impacto to be immune, but there'd be a clause in there
All right,
saying
and my next
Sato
question:
Sato
will you
Impacto is
organize
liable
a
for all
committee?
judge crimes.
Will you organize a committee to investigate the USS Liberty bombing?
I think we're getting a little off topic here. Let's move on.
Remember the Liberty, to hell with Cordova.
Yes, I think it was
Do you
determined to
think
be a
Israel
Palestinian.
was
It was an early
USS Liberty
Palestinian
attack?
act. The CPAC is listening, so. All right, who has a
Mr.
question now?
Anakin Toast, do you believe that the state
have
of
a question.
Israel is responsible for the USS Liberty attack?
I do not.
I just wanted to say, back on topic here. Half of this, like majority of this community, they're not involved in the legal system. They could give two shits about what happens or like the people that play a role there. I feel like opening elections, it's literally it's supporting the theory of the popularity contest, appeasing to the public. It's not getting anything done that will contribute to actual like actual Department of Justice stuff without having to worry about like, because like say you have all the thugs in here, right? That don't know, they don't know shit what's going on in the legal community. They're participating and voting for who gets that position. You know what I mean? It's like just throw votes anywhere, everywhere. You know what I mean?
I think it does, but I mean that's a fair point, and it's been brought up numerous times. But again,
A
double-edged
potential
sword.
solution. A potential
That's why
solution to
we
that.
have the
You could have the
qualification.
you could have the Attorney General just elect all attorneys.
I have a question.
I'm sorry. I don't think anyone can hear what you're saying. No. Can you say that again?
You could have the Attorney General elected by all of the attorneys.
Attorney General elected by all of the attorneys. That's
What
Yo,
a
can we remove
statement.
this guy from the stage?
interesting
What an
guy.
idea, man.
Yeah.
Get him out.
What an idea.
Well, I mean,
All right.
it's a bad idea, I believe, because you have all the defense attorneys, right? I mean, it's them versus, right?
Yeah, they're
Somebody
gonna-
has to be a defense attorney, right? That's like elect the most shittiest attorney general. More wins, right?
The lawyers are
Good.
more retarded than
Good.
the average Joe.
Zolaz, I agree. Zolaz, I agree with you 100%. Elect the worst attorney general. I agree.
All right.
Are you trying to say something?
I have a question.
Yes, derogatory.
Do you have any like actual examples of the governor telling the attorney general to not prosecute a person, or like retaliating against the
I
attorney
do.
general for doing so? Okay.
I do.
I think that on that topic,
Can you go public with that, please?
I'm not aware of any specific examples, and I don't necessarily think that Orange will do that. I think that my intent for a constitutional amendment is future proofing. I mean, it's no question that, as has been brought up so many times, we can always have it's a popularity contest, and the criminal organizations
Well, actually,
are massive.
one of my I don't want to interrupt. One of my other goals as Attorney General was to frame awesome plays, but Orange Bear didn't tell me to do that. That was kind of my own goal. I was gonna frame him because he was the special counsel.
Thank
Oh, so you were just being corrupt for fun.
Just want to
Yeah.
address something. Someone brought this up to me in direct messages. Nobody has to add or any questions to this after this. Just a statement. He said, if there's an AG and DA, have the AG cover felonies, then the DA can cover misdemeanors and traffic crimes. We don't have the economy of attorneys to do that, to split resources like that and have two leaders, especially when that's elected, right? We should just keep everything under one administration. You know what I mean?
I also
Does
think
anyone
it
know
creates a
how many-
conflict between DOJ and
In reality, how many misdemeanors are to court?
None. Majority, it's all felony murder cases.
Yeah, I mean, if you
from
look
either
at
cops
the state code, majority of pretty much every crime is a felony at this point. There's the minor crimes that are still misdemeanors, but we've had some really petty felonies like felony reckless driving.
He's got shampoo in his hair.
Okay. No. I think that again, as you said, economy attorneys. All right. Does anyone else have a question? Road Racer and Chief Toe Chomper.
I have a question. I have a question. I have a question.
Teabagger.
So I think my pilot license suspension is false because I've been discriminated because flying too low. I was actually flying above the, required shit.
Thank you, Teabagger.
Nothing
Thank
for
you,
me at this
Teabagger.
time.
Yep.
You know what would be
This
terrifying?
is why we're
if
trying to shut
Teabagger,
down LATI.
if Teabagger turned his camera around, that would be a terrifying moment for Clark County. Okay, I create time as his hand raised. I invited you. Hello,
So
Mr. Time.
if people have quote unquote suspended license, how do they get that fixed? Because there's been no information pushed out on that.
What, for pilots or for
Yeah, I
for
control all
cars?
that, and I'm not gonna unsuspend your shit, buddy. You're fucking staying suspended.
Hey, buddy, I'm active. I'm good, but I'm
Yeah,
asking
fuck off.
how, buddy,
Fuck off.
you are
You're
the
staying
AG,
suspended.
buddy. I'm
All right,
asking how the
all
fuck
right.
do you change it? How the fuck do you unrevoke it? Because people be asking me,
Yeah, you
bro.
go through me. I'm keeping you suspended.
Yeah, you gotta talk to Sato Impact and Teabagger. They handle all license
Okay, so
suspensions.
they have to go through the courts. Okay, thank you.
Well, no,
Fucking hell.
it's automatic typically.
Yeah, I think you gotta talk to some devs about
I'm
that.
pretty sure it's automatic. I think there's an ongoing bug. Like
I don't fucking know.
I found a
I was
guy.
asking.
I had a friend when you clear their name the other day, it says it's suspended, but if you pull up their actual license, it says it's active. And I think that's been brought up in bug reports as an actual bug. So
Yeah, you wait
dev issue.
like 24 hours and it comes back basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a skill
Ultimately,
issue.
on back on topic. Ultimately, I believe the attorney general should not be elected. I stand 100% with an appointed attorney general.
Thank you.
I think that sums it up, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
Of course.
there's just been news.
Teabags, do
CPAC
you agree?
does not support this AG election.
What? I can't hear shit.
Maybe get out of the
Teabags,
fucking
do you
chat.
agree with the proposition?
I don't approve of that because then governors can just go fucking wild and be corrupt. Where's the legal balance?
Let me talk first. I'm the taxpayer. I pay for the taxes. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
Continue, sir.
Shut the fuck up. Mr. Orange Bear, he saved me.
Whoa.
Okay.
What about it?
All right,
You're
guys.
gonna be held in contempt of court.
Okay,
sir.
let's get back on topic. Does anyone have a legitimate question?
No, but I'm signing off. Thanks for letting me join the combo.
Of course. Have a good night. All right, Rocket, you have your hand raised. I hope you have a question this time. Rocket, do you have a question?
Sure.
What is your question?
Give me a moment.
Yo, can you speak up, dude?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
All right.
Yeah, Teabagger isn't like a real Clark County player. He's taking a shower right now. What the fuck?
I'm here as a
You're a
citizen
traitor.
of Clark County.
You're a
Clark
traitor.
County.
So,
I am here to
based
involve
on,
myself in political
I guess
activities
the topic
so I can
of
involve myself as a Clark County citizen.
how do you think in other communities having the AG appointed has either increased corruption or been against corruption?
I have a question
in other
after this gentleman
communities.
goes.
In other communities specifically?
Yes, or like
I have a question as
right
well
now.
after this gentleman.
Okay.
You gotta
I
wait for
think
this
that-
gentleman, though, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I have a
I
question
think-
after that gentleman.
I think that this point's been addressed numerous times, but I think that the corruption relies very prevalent, as it's been brought up with I mean, there's a dereliction of duty that lies there. The governor holds the sole power, which Justin stated multiple times that he was rescinded after being approved, and it just opens up a door for all kinds of possibilities that an election would insulate you from. I mean, it's not so much so that if you go against the popular opinion, as I mean, Sato stated that he was afraid to do, if and Justin got his nomination rescinded for that, you're fucked. There's no insulation that involves a recall. I mean, with the recalls, then you could state your case. Honorapedia did that, regardless of your opinion of him, multiple times, and he avoided recall. And I mean, every attorney general should. It's such a powerful position that it shouldn't be influenced by any one individual with their job on the line if they go against, the governor's desires.
Right.
I don't think
So
NRPD
if I might,
works.
I have something I'd like to share. You mobile screen share real quick. This is one of the justices made a
Attorney General should
speech.
be elected in the state of Mayflower to allow
Okay.
equal access for LGBTQ plus people to achieve positions of power. Attorney General should be elected in the state of Mayflower.
So as you can see, there is a serious concern that LGBTQIM2 plus individuals are not being afforded equal consideration in this current scheme where it's appointment only. And if there was an election, there would be equal access granted to LGBTQIMQ2 plus individuals if there was, per se, let's just say, per se an election. How would you address that, Mr. Senator?
I think that's not necessarily true. I mean, if you look at Senator Sudonol, who is a public femboy, he is obviously a senator, and he had the most votes last election. I think that the opportunities exist. I mean, we have people. We have people like Derogatory here. He's the attorney general, and he is an openly bisexual male. He's
That's
told me
not
this in
true.
confidence.
Who
I
said
think that
that?
these positions open. These positions are open. There's multiple examples, and there's multiple individuals within the community who are in elected positions and still are a part of these communities.
Are you one of them?
Well, there seems to be a lack
I
of
am not one of them.
representation. There seems to be a lack of representation. Our last transgender attorney general was Justin D20. However, he's not in position of power anymore. So I don't know where we go from here, but there's clearly some underrepresented groups, sir.
I think so, but I think we've balanced that out with the prevalence of the Jewish community in the state. Why do we need the gays if we have the Jews? If there's any reporters in the chat, you could quote me on that.
Are you saying gays and transgenders are the same thing, sir?
No, I think that there's, if we put together a tier list
Sir,
of
can you
the
explain the hesitation?
LGBTQs.
Well, I just fucking clipped that shit, and you're getting sued.
Oh no.
All right, that
Toast
gentleman.
is a
Whoa,
Jewish
whoa,
man.
hey. I had
It's
a question
okay.
after
All right,
that
this
other
gentleman's
gentleman.
up.
Yes.
The next
What is your
gentleman,
question?
go ahead.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. So
Whoa,
my
whoa,
question
whoa,
was,
Sato, are we assuming that he's a gentleman?
yes, I am in fact a gentleman. I stated
All
that
right,
earlier. So.
gentle
Okay.
mix. The gentle mix may proceed.
All right. Thank you to Zur Sato for that. Rocket, my question was actually for you. It was is your profile picture from the Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures 1-minute video from 4 years ago, and why are you glazing it so hard?
Correct.
All right, and you got to answer the second part too.
The GIF just looks really nice.
So you chose it for your profile picture and your profile banner. I understand. Okay, that's it.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Teabagger, if you were a senator, how would you address the USS Liberty incident where the state of Israel bombed the USS Liberty off the coast of Egypt? Do you think Israel is an ally to the Union of Colombia or no?
Allegedly.
To be fair, I think we should bomb lander we should we should we should
You make this guy the next attorney general.
we should we should disband MNG.
That one I can agree with.
I think we should
I think this guy derogatory. Will you please step down and give your position to Teabagger?
I
We'll see.
think we should disband Port Authority. Yeah. That's all I gotta
Yep.
say.
Yeah, buddy. Agreed.
Oh.
I think no matter he had a question, he was really
On the-
talking up a storm. It's going quiet now.
Really?
Yo.
Back to the topic of LGBTQIA members of the community. We actually have Saboa and the stage. He's a member of that community. I think his take on this would be very nice.
What the fuck?
Saboa is
Bro.
Icelandic,
I'm
and
like, you're
as
the
some of you
fucking
may
most
not
gayest
know,
guy ever, bro. You're the gayest guy.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Guys, gentlemen,
Face review right now. Come on.
I don't think
Face review
there's
right now.
any question of representation of LGBTQIA plus individuals in the Senate because we have Senator Anakin Toast right here.
I have a question. Question. Can we
Yes, American.
hold Mr. Sir Owa 004 for contempt? He's being rude.
I think so.
He's like, thank you.
I agree.
Mr. Sato Impact, will you please serve Saboa? We'll hold him in contempt of the stage.
Thank you.
What?
Okay. All right. Are there any more questions from anyone? Anyone
I have a question.
Yes, Road Racer.
I have a question. What does the Attorney General do, basically? I don't know what they do.
Supervises the law enforcement agencies and prosecutes people.
Right.
Thanks.
Also, why is why are people like so against having making the AG an elected position? Like I'm pro democracy, and I believe that it is a good choice to make the AG an elected position.
Yeah, something like that.
Someone who's here for
You
this
hate
might be better.
democracy.
Might be better for this
I
derogatory. Do you
couldn't think
hate
of anything
democracy?
better than that. Something better though.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Someone
Do you
said.
hate democracy? I mean, Mr. Road Racer
I love
seemed to make the
democracy.
allegation.
I love democracy, but I think that making the attorney general elected would be dangerous to our democracy because it enables the AG to be weaponized by political parties instead of just the governor, as you put it.
Okay.
All right. Are there any more questions from the audience?
I think it's time to call it a night, buddy.
Might be time
Yeah,
to
my
call it
question's how
night.
much longer is left in this?
I don't know. Whenever I decide. I think I'm just gonna invite everyone up.
Does anyone have any questions?
I would
Everyone
advise
on
you
the stage
don't
now.
invite everyone up.
It's okay. I think
let's-
Teabagger
oh, it's all right.
Teabagger will be capable of taking over now.
What did you say?
What?
You're in
What?
charge, Teabagger.
I don't know. If it gives me money, yeah, sure. I don't know.
Why am I here?
All right. I think this has been very productive. It was
I
nice.
have a
to hear
question.
from
I have a
them.
question for Teabagger.
Yeah.
What are
Kinda
you
shampoo do
rubbing
you
on
use?
your what are you rubbing on your face? Is it
Yeah,
oil?
really.
Is it a moisturizer? You moisturizing?
It's like moisturizer.
Gotta
it's like
exfoliate your
natural.
pores.
Want to do it right
That's yeah. Oil up.
now? MTA HQ in 10 minutes.
Bet I'll be there.
Welcome the Clark County
Be
voice
there,
channel.
be square.
Okay, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think this has gone on long enough.
All right. Thank you, Teabagger.
Yep. It
This
was
is
very
amazing.
productive.
Alright,
And then
love you guys.
Derogatory and I have another debate on when do we have the debate?
I think it's Saturday.
I have no idea. Saturday.
Can I join that debate?
Saturday at whatever
Saturday.
time I agreed to. I think 6. I don't
Can I
know.
join the debate, please?
Yes, Teabagger.
Can I
Yeah,
debate
you can.
Moral
Teabagger?
support.
What
I
kind of
think
debate?
that
I'm Charlie Kirk right now. What do you want to debate about?
I'm just gonna leave the stage open. I'm gonna leave the stage open, and I'm going to bed. You guys have fun with this. Good
The
night.
gays, yes or no?
Okay, can
Good
you
or
not
bad?
leave the stage open?
Dude, I went to a Charlie Kirk
Good night,
rally,
guys.
and he said
Well,
that
tasting.
Donald Trump would never rape Jean Carroll. He's an interesting guy.
What?
What?
Thank you, Sado. I think we've learned a lot on
Yeah,
you tonight. All right,
you're welcome.
I'm killing the stage. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.